Alright, yo, this is take three. Tech issues, fumbling, and battery died. Alright, so 2025 grade 8 math state test. I'm gonna go over questions 2, 4, 7, 8, 12, and 14. Okay, so session 1. It says that you are allowed a ruler, a protractor, and a reference sheet, and a calculator. Okay, so please focus on these last two, reference sheet and calculator. In this document, I did not see the reference sheet, so it might be somewhere else on the site, or if you just Google this, grade 8 math reference sheet, then you'll find it, okay? And then the calculator, use it, because we're gonna need it for one of the questions, like the geometry questions. Okay, so let's go. So, number 2. So, this question is talking about a branch of math called statistics, okay, and specifically the line of best fit, okay. You will see this again in high school, line of best fit, linear regression, but you don't need to know all of that stuff. But for now, just to get the answer, here is a tip that usually works. Choose the line that passes through the most amount of points, right? Those points are the data points, right? And like it should be very, very close to the line as possible, okay? And if you're curious about it, look up those topics I mentioned. But like one way of finding the line of best fit, there's this technique called like minimizing the sum of the squares of the vertical distances from the data points to the line. So these things, when you add up all those distances, the smallest one will give you the answer choice. But it's multiple choice, so you don't need all of that. So yeah, once again, just find the line that passes to the most points or that's like very, very close to it. Sometimes they also say it's like, oh, there should be an even number on either side. So that's also another heuristic that you can use. Okay, so C. Okay, B and D, they're far away, right? They're, yeah, too much. And then A is like a runner up, but yeah, C is the best pick. All right, 4. Okay, so geometry stuff. So here they're using a lot of vocab that you might not need for the problem, and you'll see it for like other problems, like the next one, okay? But here, vertical plane. Okay, so you don't even need this word vertical plane here, but because it's vertical, the plane you do need. That is that shaded piece of paper. Technically, the plane is like an infinite sheet of paper that extends in all directions, right? But it slices this right rectangular pyramid, and because it's vertical, it's creating this right angle. But yeah, like I said, you don't need all of that. It's just saying the question's asking what is the resulting two-dimensional shape formed by the intersection. So this is probably the most important word here, intersection. Okay, so what is that shape that's created by this plane? That's not, it's like a knife, and it's slicing through like this pyramid cake thing. Okay, that is the shape. Okay, and if you look at that, that is a right triangle, but you don't need that. All you need is this triangle here. Okay, if you're curious, this comes up a lot in calculus and physics. Okay, it's like cross-sectional areas if you want to Google. Okay, number 7. Yeah, so this question, when I first saw it, I was like, whoa, like I think my higher level math is like biasing this. So it's like, oh, I'm trying to use all the information that they gave, but you don't need all of this information here. Okay? So the main idea of this is that you have a right triangle. That's very important. Okay? And when you think of right triangle, the trigger should be, ooh, Pythagorean theorem. Okay? Pythagorean theorem. Okay, that's just a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared, where c squared, the c, that is the longest side of the right triangle, which is 20. Okay, and how do I know? I have high school Pythagorean videos. Feel free to check those out. But if you want to find out the hypotenuse, you first find the right angle. It's right here, and then you look at the side opposite, and that's the hypotenuse. Okay, so I'm gonna call it hypot. Okay, and then the other two sides, this and this, that's your A and B. Now the question is which one should be which. It doesn't matter actually. Okay, but you just keep track. Okay, so that's gonna be my A, and X is gonna, so 15 right here. That's gonna be my A because you see the rectangle, right? I know that opposite sides of a rectangle are equal or congruent. So that 15 I can kind of just bring up. So that means that this piece is 15. Okay, and then like I said, the b is the x. Okay, so now I just got to substitute into this formula here. So that's just 15 squared plus b, which is x squared, which is equal to c squared, and c is 20, so it's going to be 20 squared. Okay, now from here you might have questions where you have to solve for the A or B, or they give you the C, that's like the easier version, but here you just look for any answer choice closest to this one. Okay, so this 20 squared, right? It's by itself. You can swap the left and right side of the equation to get the an equivalent equation, okay? 20 squared is equal to 15 squared plus x squared. So this equation is equivalent to that. So it's going to be this one, okay? Can't be 19. No, it can't be this, okay? So just be careful, okay? So be careful of which number is by itself, okay? And make sure that that is the hypotenuse or whatever leg that you're trying to solve for, okay? Okay, 8. The graph of a line is shown below. What is the equation of the line? Okay, so for this, they're testing this knowledge. Y is equal to mx plus b. This is the most common form for a line, okay? This is the slope-intercept form, okay? It's called the slope-intercept because that's the slope, and this plus b, this is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is a point the on the that intersect that the line intersects the y-axis, and the y-axis is that, okay? So if I look at the point of intersection where it pierces it, it's going to be right here, and that's a positive 3, so that means that b should be plus 3, so it's going to be positive 3, okay? So far my answer looks like y is equal to mx plus 3, and now I have to solve for the slope. If you looked at my other videos, the m, this is going to be the rise over run, okay? Or better, change in y over change in x. Okay, I don't like this word rise because in some problems, for example, this one, right, it's not always a rise. If you have a negative slope, this is a negative slope, right? It's descending. So, yeah. Let's look at this, the change in y. So in order to find the slope on a coordinate plane, you just find two nice points, okay? We like the y-intercept. That's an easy, friendly point, okay? Because the x is going to always be 0 on the y-intercept, okay? So here, this is an easy point. And then another nice point is just a friendly number, right? So for example, if I zoom in here, this is not a nice point because I don't know exactly what it is, like a fraction or a decimal. I don't like that. But if you look, this looks like a nice point, and this looks like a nice point, okay? You just need to choose two of them, okay? Just two nice points, and you already know the y-intercept is our first choice, okay? We'll do the math for both, and you'll see. But find the one that's closest to the y-intercept. That way you don't have to simplify and stuff like that. The math is easier. So I'm just gonna use this point. So watch this. So I said change in y, so that's the up and down values. So it looks like I'm going down 1. Down on the y is negative. So that means that my change in y is negative 1, right? And then from there, look at my change in x. My change in x is to the right 2. So that's plus 2. Positive because when you go to the right, the numbers are getting bigger, okay? So that means that my slope is going to be change in y, which is equal to negative 1 over change in x, which is 2. So that means m is equal to negative half. I substitute that in here. So then my final equation is y is equal to negative half x plus 3. Okay? And that is going to be choice C. Cool? Okay. 12. So this is more geometry. So here they're asking you to find the volume. So you need to know the volume of a what? Of a soccer ball. Okay. The soccer ball is not the math topic, but you got to know what shape that is. Or, I mean, what object. That is a sphere. Okay. Volume is 3-dimensional. Sphere is 3-dimensional. Okay. The volume of a sphere is equal to 4/3 pi r cubed. That should be in your reference sheet. Okay. So here we need to find out what r is. Okay. But they didn't give r. They only gave the diameter. That's another important word. Diameter. Okay. So diameter is just twice the radius. So I can say that as an equation, d is equal to 2r. So if the diameter is 23, right? So that means that dividing that by 2, that's going to give me r. So r is equal to half of 23, which is 11.5. Okay? So now we know what r is. We just got to substitute that back in here in the equation. So let me do that. So v is equal to 4/3 pi. Okay, like I said, good habits. When you substitute, you put parentheses. Okay, you need that here because otherwise PEMDAS order is going to be weird. Okay, so you're going to say 11.5 to the power of 3. Okay, now this is where you get your calculator. Okay, but look here. So you just got to do PEMDAS on this. Okay, but if you look at the choices, the answers are all very far apart. So here, notice it says to the nearest cubic centimeters. That means you have to round. So even if you didn't know how to round, just find the answer choice that's closest to this answer. So 4/3, this number is about 1.3. Pi, a common approximation they use is 3.14, and then I have to do 11.5 times 11.5 times 11.5. So let me do that right now. Actually, I'm not going to do that. Okay, but if you do that, then you are going to get B. You should get B. Okay? Okay, 14, last question. An equation is shown below. Which value of x makes the equation true? So this is solving for x. Okay, if you are not paying attention in class, right, and you're just trying to guess it, then you could actually just plug in all of these choices and plug that in here, and that could get you the answer, but that's a very poor way of doing it right now because very easy to make mistakes, okay? In my second take, actually, I goofed, and I was like, oh, I forgot to distribute. So yeah, anyways, so look here, I'm gonna distribute this -6 because there's parentheses to the x and the -4. Okay, so -6x, -6 times -4, that's technically a minus, but treat it as a negative. -6 times -4 is +24, plus 5x is equal to -9x. Okay, now notice that there are x's on both sides. So there's two x terms on the left side and one on the right. Okay, so I have to gather them all up. So you have options here. You can either start adding them to one side, or I'm just going to first combine. Okay, so -6x plus 5x, that's -6 plus 5, that's -x. So it's going to be -x, and then plus 24 is equal to -9x. Okay, and now I'm going to move the smaller x's to the other side, because that's going to give me a positive number. It's going to be easier to do the math. -9 is smaller than -1, so I'm going to do plus 9x. That's going to be 0 plus 9x. Okay, so that's going to be 8x is equal to, plus 24 is equal to 0. But I ran out of space, so I'm just going to do two steps in one. So I'm a -24 on both sides, -24. Okay, this goes away. -24 becomes a -24. And then finally, to get x by itself, you just divide by 8. Divide by 8. So x is going to equal -3. Okay. All right, x is equal to -3, so this is answer choice A. Okay. Damn, 12 minutes. All right, that's good to know for next time. But yeah, hopefully this makes sense. If it does not, ask questions, and yeah, see you.